Hey everybody, welcome back to Money Chats with MT. We have money conversations over here. I give a lot of my perspective on just different topics when it comes to money, the economy, finance, and really just sharing a lot of the background, behind the scenes, in between knowledge that my husband and I use to go from being paycheck to paycheck to being first generation millionaires. So I'm hoping that you guys are enjoying the podcast so far. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, share. It will help the YouTube algorithm to push this content out. And if you want to support the channel even more, please consider buying me a coffee or a tea because, as you know, talking can make your throat a little bit sore, a little bit hoarse. And again, I do appreciate all the support. Information is always down in the description box. And don't forget to follow me on my other platforms. All of my other channels, all of my other social medias are always in the description box below. So please feel free to follow me over there. So episode 2, we're going to be talking about Americans and why we feel so poor. And I've experienced a lot of this, and I wanted to give my perspective on this. Now, I saw a really, really good mini docuseries on CNBC. I would suggest if you do not follow CNBC, they have a really great YouTube page. They also have a really great website. I would suggest you do so, but they had a really informative documentary, and it was called Why Americans Feel So Poor. And when I tell you that I resonated so much with the information that was shared in this documentary, the people who they had featured, not just, like the professionals, like professors or economists, but also just regular people and their frustrations and their stress when it comes to money. And despite them making six figures, they feel so poor. Now, there's many underlying facts and reasons to why people feel so poor or may be poor despite making a higher income. And I have several episodes down the line where we're going to really dive deep into that concept. But for today's video, I just want to talk from my perspective about why I resonated so much with that. And I'm going to share a few points that, really came back to my mind while watching that. The first one was, this idea of the middle class. I remember when I was growing up, and keep in mind, I know what it feels like to be poor. I was not born into money. I know the stressors of being poor, the whole paycheck to paycheck cycle, the whole eviction lifestyle, robbing Peter to pay Paul. I'm telling you, all of the feelings surrounding money when I was growing up was always negative. There was no positive feelings or positive attributes about money. Every time it was brought up, it was a stressor. Okay, we have to pay this bill, or we don't have enough money. We're about to get thrown out. I have to go and ask to borrow so-and-so for some money. I'm hoping that they can give it to me, or we don't have money for a field trip. It was always a negative feeling regarding money. And I think as I was growing up and I was a teenager and I started to think about, what did I want to do or be when I became an adult? What did I want to study in college? And I knew that just from the experiences that I had, I didn't want to feel poor anymore. I wanted to make sure that anything that I could do to really line up my finances for my future, I was willing to take that step. So going to college, I think most of us, that was our way out, right? For most of us, many of us, it was our way out. Going to college, studying really hard, or even if you didn't go to college, maybe joining the military, getting a special skill like going to technical school or something along those lines. We viewed it as our ticket, our door marked exit from feeling this way. And I think one of the things that I failed to realize as I was making all these plans is that you can carry a lot of trauma from your childhood into your adulthood, and despite making more money, still feel poor, right? Because your actions is on display, right? Instead of really practicing good frugal and, being a good steward and money management, I'm literally acting out materially what I wanted as a child. And again, I'm going to have probably a series on childhood trauma when it comes to money and finance and how we carry these things into our adulthood, But, this whole idea, okay, well, I want to being a middle class, I want to have the picket fence, the house, the dog, a husband, 2 kids, and just really feel that freedom of having more. And what I didn't realize is that, the cost of living is just much more now. So again, Americans feel poor in a sense. And again, I resonated with this because things just cost so much. And I was talking to my husband about this the other day, how I'm almost sad for, the generation that's coming up behind us, like our children and even our future grandchildren, because I don't know how they'll be able to really sustain and afford just a simple, basic lifestyle with the way that things cost nowadays. I remember I got my first apartment at 19. And it was a 1 bedroom. I had my utilities included. I had access to the laundry room. I was on the first floor, about 500 and some odd square feet. And I paid $645 for a 1 bedroom apartment. And that was really manageable, right? I mean, by myself, I could afford that. And when I got married with my husband and, we were thinking about moving on to like another apartment or buying a house, I realized that things then, and keep in mind, I'm 38 now. So you're talking about, oh my goodness, almost 20 years ago. Oh my goodness, it's crazy how how cheaper things were there. Like, I don't think my daughter at 19 could find a place, a 1 bedroom. And we're not even talking about in the city or even like in the suburbs. I don't think she could find a decent 1 bedroom apartment for under $1,200. And I'm stretching that. I don't think she could. She would have to have a roommate or like a spouse or something to be able to afford the rent. And a lot of the apartments nowadays aren't even including utilities like they used to. I mean, or at least they would include like electric or something. Now it's nothing included in the rent. So you're paying more and you're getting less, right? And so that's another reason why people just are feeling like they don't have enough money. And again, with inflation increasing and it's going up, 10, 15%, the raises and the employers, right, aren't paying that much in salary increases or in bonuses every year. There's no standard of living increase every year that's matching with the rate of inflation. So what is going to happen? You're going to feel the squeeze a little bit more because the pay just isn't enough. And we're not even talking, and keep in mind, let me tell you, I had a car too. It was a Honda Civic, a 94 Honda Civic. I paid $6,000 for it. Again, having a car at 19, your own place at 19. Nowadays, I just don't see that happening. And I actually saw an article where young people are actually living at home or moving back home. Isn't that interesting, guys? Like moving back home at 25 and 30 years old because it just costs so much. So people are living together. Several generations are living together in the same household because they can share the expense and it won't be such a burden. Another thing that documentary touched on that really, really like touched something within me was more debt. So when you feel poorer, guess what's going to happen? You need to make ends meet, right? So you're going to explore other avenues outside of your normal paycheck. And credit cards, personal loans, payday loans, 401k loans, things like that, they're all available, right? And it's so easy to borrow money, especially the bad kind of debt. Now, I mean, credit cards are bad, but you notice that you have payday loan places and, cash checking places and, I would say like lower cost of living neighborhoods or in minority areas where the financial literacy is lacking a bit. And so, these companies can prey on these types of people because of their financial state. Think about it. If you needed to pay your gas bill and you didn't have enough money to cover it from your paycheck, and you can go 2 blocks down and there is a payday loan place where you can go in. They say, we'll give you $1,000. We'll give you $1,500, $2,000 right now. All you got to do is just bring this, this, and this. And of course, if you're in a desperate place, if you're in a situation where you are stressed about money, guess what you're going to do? You're going to sign over your life essentially to get this $1,000, $1,500, $2,000. And what you're not realizing is that the interest that you're paying is astronomical, number one. So you're paying like 100% interest. And I'm telling you guys, that's the truth. And the second thing is that it's a hard cycle to get out of, because what you'll realize is that, you know what, it's not getting me out the hole. So I'm going to make my second and third and fourth trips back to this same payday loan type of place, right? And so Americans are feeling poorer. And I felt this way because, again, the cycle was hard to break because I needed the money to just live. So I would go and almost sell my soul for $1,000, $1,500. And let me tell you, at the end of it, when you finally come out of it, for that $2,000 or so that you borrowed, from these payday places, you're actually paying back $7, $8, $9, sometimes $10,000. And so I understand, I feel that, okay? Americans being poor, and that documentary talked about it. It also talked about, social media and keeping up with the Joneses and this whole stimulated like lifestyle that we live in. If everywhere you look, the TV, the social medias, you can watch a movie, magazines, ads, billboards. I mean, everywhere you look, there is an enticement for us to spend money. And, if you're doing a no spend, if you are, sticking to your budget, if you're really trying to make your money work for you, and you go outside your doorstep or you pull up your phone and there is an ad immediately to buy this, or sometimes it's this whole, and again, the whole keeping up with the Joneses lifestyle, which I will talk about in a future episode, is really more prevalent nowadays than ever because of the access to information that we all have. Someone told me that social media is a blessing. It can really help you to understand and learn different things. It can help you to save money. You can even use it to help promote injustices. Like if a crime is going on, you can record it. You have more eyes on it. So, justice could be served. So those are all of the great things about social media. But one terrible thing about it is the access to other people's realities, and it's an altered reality. So if you pull up TikTok, and I feel so bad for our younger generation, which is why I'm always talking to my daughter about realistic expectations, especially in the society that we live in nowadays. But you pull up an app on Instagram, and you'll see someone standing on like a sandy beach on an exclusive island. They have their beautiful sun-brimmed hat on, their luxe glasses from Gucci. They're there with their partner. Everybody got good abs. Their skin is glowing. They got a drink in their hand, and they are living their best life. Okay, trust me. I have felt this FOMO before when I've been looking at it. And what it does to us subconsciously is that it instills in us this idea of, okay, if I don't have that, if I don't look like that, if I'm not going to these places, then I'm less than. And one of the terrible things about social media is that it will have you spending money. It will have you going into debt. It will have you neglecting taking care of yourself and paying your bills to keep up with someone who posted a picture, and that person isn't telling you that they have $20,000 in credit card debt that they use to fund that vacation, or that they used a filter or some kind of editing software to add in, some abs to their stomach because their stomach really don't look like that, or they lightened their skin, or they have knockoff Gucci glasses. Okay, I'm being real here with you guys. These are the things that we are not seeing. And so again, we see these pictures, or we'll see someone have a car or a beautiful house, and we're immediately trying to run to get that. And we're not seeing the whole entire picture that they received an inheritance. So if you're trying to compete with someone, you're already at a disadvantage because, again, you are only getting a small piece of their story, a small piece of their journey. So Americans feel poor because they're trying to keep up with what they see online or what they see from their celebrities. And some of these celebrities are being paid to promote these items, and these celebrities aren't even wearing these things. One of the things someone told me is that when you see a celebrity at the Oscars or the Grammys in those beautiful dresses, they didn't buy those dresses. Those designers let them borrow those dresses. And here we are trying to go out to buy that designer, and the celebrity we're looking at don't even own that stuff. And so one of the things that helped me to come out of this way of thinking of feeling poor is to shut off all of the things that tempt me. I don't follow anyone who tempts me to spend money unwisely. I'm following people who are motivating me, who are instilling into me, girl, you need to make sure you are budgeting. And yes, you can still have self-care and still have fun. And if you want the LV bag and all of that, that's fine. But what I love about it is that the people that I surround myself with are encouraging me to get those things in the right way. Start a sinking fund for your LV bag. Start a savings challenge for your Gucci glasses. Start saving little by little for your dream vacation, because it's not a bad thing to want these things. It's how we go about it. And again, going back to my previous point, Americans feel poor because they're going into debt, trying to achieve or attain a lifestyle that in all essence, what they're seeing is not 100% truth. It's not 100% fact. Another thing is that a lot of the times we can actually increase our income, in quotes, through our budgeting. You can give yourself a raise through your budget. If you cut out a lot of that unnecessary spending, if you cut out some of the things that are not important to you, you can actually see more freed up money in your budget. And that was another thing that I had to learn, is that I felt poor, but on paper I made enough. So something was going wrong with the numbers. The math was not mathing. So I had to go back to my expenses and say, you know what? Okay, I'm paying for a gym membership and I haven't been to the gym in months. Cancel it. I'm paying for a membership to Home and Gardens magazine and I haven't even opened the magazine in a year. It's just collecting dust in the corner of my living room, right? All of these things we're wasting money on, and we don't think, $14.99 a month. That's not bad, $14.99 a month. But if you times $14.99 by 12 months or 18 months or 24 months, that's several $100s that we are wasting. And again, we work hard for our money, so we shouldn't waste any of it. But we're wasting our money on things that are not even important to us. So it takes some effort. And again, we feel poor. I felt poor, but on paper, the numbers were saying you have enough money. You can go here. You can experience that. You should be able to pay your normal bills, but you can't because it's chaos in your money. Another thing that docuseries really touched on that I love was, it's stress and it's guilt that's causing people to feel poor and spend in a way where technically they are poor. And having guilt about things, you didn't grow up with certain things. So you're going to give your children the world. And I don't know if many of you have children. I have 3, but I know the cost of sports. Or if they join choir or band or cheerleading, and then you got to buy the instruments. They're doing a lot of fundraising, so that costs money. Uniforms cost money. If they go on trips or anything like that, that costs money. I'll tell you this, my daughter, her choir, she's big into choir. That's one of the many activities she's involved in, but they're going to sing at Disney. Well, the parents had to pay about, I think it was $1,130 for the kids to go to Disney, and that's with the fundraising from the choir. So imagine if you were paycheck to paycheck or you're trying to make ends meet and then you get hit with this, okay, the choir or the band wants to take a trip to Disney so that they can sing or play. It gets more exposure, things like that. Well, $1,130 in a high recessionary period is a lot of money. And so thank God my husband and I could afford it. But again, it made me go back and think, no wonder Americans feel poor, because there is, everywhere you turn, there is something that is trying to grab the funds that you have. And instead of trying to save or maybe pay off debt or invest, You have to pay a bill, you have to fund an excursion, your children need things. And so you guilt yourself into buying your children, the best clothes or the best shoes. They're getting the latest and greatest game consoles and just different things. Why? Because we didn't have that. So we guilt ourselves into this. And what it's doing is making us feel poor. And it is actually causing us to be poor. I remember when my daughter was born, I've always wanted a little girl. I remember saying that when I was a teenager. When I had my children, I wanted to have a daughter. I really wanted a little girl. And what I was doing when my daughter was born, she had everything, okay? Her hair was always done. She had jewelry. Okay, what is a 1-year-old doing with, okay, I'm not talking about the earrings that you pierce the ears. My girl had a gold bracelet, a necklace. I mean, I was going not just a children's place, I was going to the Gap Kids. I mean, my daughter had on, look, okay, I'm just being honest with you guys. Girlfriend was set up and didn't even care about none of that stuff. And again, I was spending money that I didn't have. I should have been paying my rent or trying to get ahead. I was buying a bunch of stuff. And then I didn't understand, okay, how could I make this amount of money? How could my husband and I be making this money together and we are getting evicted, right? We have an eviction notice on the door. But my daughter is dressed to the nines. I'm dressed to the nines, okay? Matching shoes, outfit, purse, hair done, makeup done, all of the good stuff, going out. And again, it was guilt. It was guilt and stress around money. And so this is why I created this podcast, because again, it helps me to reflect on, how far my husband and I have come, and really just providing some inspiration to any of you who feel like you're there right now. Because like I said, I've been there, and you may feel like I'm poor because I just don't have enough to live, or on paper you do have enough, but you're still feeling poor. You're still feeling like you are paycheck to paycheck because of lifestyle creep or keeping up with the Joneses, debt, or the cost of just living is so high nowadays. So share with me down below in the comment section, do you resonate with this, feeling poor even though on paper you may not be, or feeling poor because perhaps you are and you're trying to make it work in this high cost of living area. And check out the link to that documentary from CNBC. It's not like an hour or anything, but it's a really, really good listen. And it helps you to really think about these things. Because again, if we don't have these conversations, guess what's going to happen? The rich are going to get richer and the poor are going to get poorer. And then, you're going to wake up 10, 15, 20 years from now realizing, okay, how am I going to make this work? I'm doomed. Social Security may not be paying you enough, if it's paying out anything. Rent for a 1-bedroom is now $2,000, $2,500 a month in a medium to cost living area. So we're not even talking about New York or LA or anything, just in a regular area. So again, it's about having these conversations so that we can prepare ourselves wisely for the future. So I hope that you guys enjoyed episode 2 today. Again, please share down below. It's about having conversations. Of course, be respectful, but again, having conversations about this. Again, I created these podcasts to give my feedback on a lot of the topics that we really need to talk about. I've been through a lot as a married woman, as a person of color, as a content creator on YouTube, and just different things where I feel like, I'm not a financial advisor, I'm not a therapist, but I am a friend. And sometimes you just need to talk to a friend about some of the things that, is on our mind. And check out my website if you want to join some of our private groups where you can share in a group with other people about how you can overcome some of these things that you may be feeling. That's why I created those groups as well. Again, thank you guys so much for supporting the channel. If you are supporting me, please like, share, and subscribe. You can also, again, support me through Buy Me a Coffee. I really do appreciate all of the support and love that you guys give me. And I will see you guys in a few days for episode 3. And make sure you hit your bell notification so that you don't miss out. I'll talk to you guys soon, and I'll see you.